Hi there, and welcome to my YouTube channel. The name is Gorata.Selaledi. Ever so excited to be here. Just moving into frame. Ever so excited to be here. Welcome to my Monday video. If you are new here, welcome, welcome, and welcome. It is Tuesday, and we will be fixing and course correcting in terms of our videos publishing on Monday as they should. But something I was thinking about, and I think as a tap on the back and a check in for today's video, is how truly when I started the journey, I would go longer stretches of time without publishing to the point where it just even felt like I was not doing YouTube anymore. But then now I just miss a day. So we've come a very long way in terms of our creation process. And I was just thinking about how, in terms of the rhythm and the flow and the repetition, we are building something that my mind loves. We are building structure. And I figured out in terms of how my thumbnails should look like. I figured out how I want my flow to be as well for the coaching videos. So I am excited for today's video. So welcome if you are new here. I am Gorata.Selaledi, your personal change strategist from now on until kingdom come. And welcome to my channel. What we do here, we read the Bible, we pray, we worship, and we rinse and repeat. And structure tickles my brain, and hence these coaching videos. This is going to count as a sound check, just so that I can check if my sound is right. And then we can jump into the video. So welcome to today's video. We are continuing the conversation. We are continuing our program, Focus and Flow, and I am going to do my best to organize my videos in such a way that when you watch week 1, week 2, week 3, there is a consistent flow in terms of the conversation that we were having. In week 1, we were talking about clarifying what it is you want. When we were laying the foundation, right? So getting right in terms of what do you want, right? And getting back to that in terms of being able to know what we're focusing on. So when we're thinking about focus and follow through, we spoke about focus in the past week. We're going to be talking about discipline for week 2. And then for week 3, we are going to be talking about follow through, right? And what that looks like. So stick around if you want to hold space for yourself to reflect on how you are in terms of your discipline. And today we are going to be talking about creating systems that support your focus. And personally, as a coach, there's one system that I believe once you've set up for yourself, you will be able to actually see results. And I've been seeing the theme as a recurring theme in the different books that I've read this year, that I'm reading actually even currently. We are currently reading a book called I forget the name, but but something one. I don't know why, but the name has literally escaped me. But I have put it in my audiobook playlist. Please do check it out. And the book that we read in January was the 12-week year, which also shifted and changed so much for me. Please do take time to listen to it. If you are able to binge watch through a series, you will be able to listen to the audiobook, right? So welcome to the program. Welcome to week 2. I want to start our conversation today with a quote that I like. And if you are a regular subscriber and this is the video you're interacting with after a while, we're going back to how I was when I started podcasting. Very casual, very conversational, very Gorata coded. And because I had been realizing that I was becoming very robotic in my delivery, and we're going back to the heart of who this girly is, right? To keep, I'd say, the true personality of who I am and the way I show up, even in my coaching calls that I engage with my clients, right? So I hope you stick around. So the quote that I want to share today is a quote that says, "The purpose of time is to enable man to learn to use it constructively. Time is thus a teaching device, a means to an end. It will cease when it is no longer useful in facilitating learning. This is a quote from the first chapter of A Course in Miracles, and the title of the chapter is Principles of Miracles, if I'm not mistaken. I've been stuck in that chapter for a while now and kind of just absorbing the lessons from it and trying to get to an understanding, right? But yeah, as a plug, you can actually find it on the Play Store, iStore, search ACIM, A Course in Miracles. So you can actually download the app. I recommend, because principle-wise, it is tied to Christianity, but it's not a Christian app, but it teaches principles that we learn from the Bible. And I'm rambling, but I just wanted to share that as a shameless plug. Right? So in sharing this quote, something that I was thinking about from a personal perspective, to then say, my life has been structured in such a way that if I don't learn the lesson, the same thing is it's going to feel like it's repeating itself. I don't know if you've ever felt that way. Please leave it in the comments if you ever have. Let's engage. But it always feels like the same thing is happening over and over again if I don't address it, especially if I don't address the emotion behind it and how I'm perceiving the lived experience. It just feels like it's repeating itself. I don't know why. And when I was reading the last line to say it will cease when it is no longer useful in facilitating learning, I just feel once you've arrived at that place where you've learned about the thing, it fizzles off and it dies off and it leaves. It feels like you've never ever interacted with such an experience. I hope it makes sense to me. But in thinking about building discipline, the system that I spoke about at the beginning was scheduling your life, what I'm going to use as the title of today's video, scheduling your life like it depends on it, because it does. Scheduling your life like it depends on it, because it does, right? Remember in primary school, and I usually use this example for my coaching sessions, to say in primary school, whatever school you've been to, or anything else like that has a schedule, right? But I'm going to use the primary school example. I don't know why I'm backtracking. But in primary school, there would be a timetable of the subjects that you would be doing or that you're expected to do for that particular week, for that particular term. So there's a day, there's the time, and there's the subject that you're supposed to be doing. So it's very clear in the morning or at the beginning of the week which books you need, which assignments you need to address, and. So it helps you, and it's something that personally going through the schooling system allowed me to actually learn how to manage my time. So we're going to talk about it today from the perspective of learning to schedule yourself, learning to schedule time for the things that matter, and not just creating a busy or a heavy, what do you call it, schedule that has so many things in it, but learning to create a schedule that only has your priority items. Like personally for me, if I was to speak to my schedule right now, literally just has content creation one day for like 2 hours a week, and then I just schedule the content on the different platforms. Someone reached out to me and said, but Gorata, it just feels like you have so much time. But what I said to her is that I prioritize the things that matter to me in the season and that are tied to my bigger vision. And content, specifically coaching content, is tied to my business, and my YouTube journey is really tied to my joy. I said this to my husband at the beginning of the year, to say that creating content gives me so much joy. Once I come here, after I stop recording, you can literally scrape off the joy off my skin. And same goes for when I'm coaching, right? So I want you to get to a point where you are able to schedule your life like it depends on it, because it matters. Scheduling your life like it depends on it because it matters, right? So we're going to be thinking through then, for your system this week, we are only scheduling the 3 priority areas for your life. It could be your health, it could be fun, it could be your family, it could be your career, it could be whatever it is, right? And this can apply to all those areas, right? Family time, personal time, your health, your spirituality, your emotions. You can actually work out a schedule that incorporates all these areas, right? And I'm actually sharing, this is something that I share in my free accountability program. Please do check it out. And if you are looking for a coach, please do click on the booking link and book a discovery call so that we can engage. So the week is the most powerful unit of productivity. The week is the most powerful unit of productivity. I'm actually going to try and make this video 15 minutes. The week is the most powerful unit of productivity, right? And what does this mean? Something that I said in one of my past videos, I think even when we were talking about weekly success systems, is to then realize that your weeks build your year. There's 52 weeks in a year. And so far, I think we've lived through 10, if I'm not mistaken. I think 10 weeks already. So there's 42 weeks left in the year. And what have you done? Have you been focused in terms of the priority areas of your life? Have you sat down and answered the question, what do I want? And not from a place of wanting to just make a list of things so that you satisfy that part of you to say, oh, I have goals. No, but making goals that are actually tied to what you want, your vision, and what you hope to leave, I'd say, as impact and legacy that is connected to who you are, right? So how you design your week determines how much progress you make. And when I use the word design, the one thing that always comes to my mind is time. I literally sit on the floor and think through my month. And when the week begins, I think through my week in terms of, if I was to take the content, what kind of content I'm going to be working on, what kind of content I'm going to be putting out for my business, for my YouTube, for my TikTok. And by the way, I have been so consistent there by TikTok. So a key thing to note in thinking about discipline and creating weekly systems that support your focus without structure easily turns into intention without action. We'll have a conversation, you'll tell me everything that you intend to do, and we'll come out of that conversation with me feeling that, wow, you actually mean so well and you have so many things that you'd want to accomplish, but you don't have results to show it. You mean well, but you don't have results to show it. You don't have outcomes that actually tie to the fact that you are making progress towards the goals that you've set for yourself. So key lessons that I put down as I was preparing for this session that I want us to think about is to then say, the more you get to a place where you've settled on a plan for your weeks, right, you save energy. And let me explain. Having a weekly plan or an idea, especially in terms of your priorities, having a weekly plan reduces decision fatigue. And decision fatigue is simply the fact that as you go out throughout the day, you have to make decisions. When you're driving, which route are you turning? Are you going in through the intersection? Are you stopping? And you're making decisions throughout the whole day, and that takes energy. But once you've decided in terms of what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, what time, how frequently during the week, it becomes very easy for you to save energy. So here's the thing. The more decisions you make, the more energy you lose, right? That's a key takeaway. The more decisions you make, the more energy you lose, right? So in thinking about the past week, did you have a plan? If you didn't, where did your energy go to in terms of the decisions you were making? And another key lesson is a few clear priorities create better results than many tasks, right? Than many tasks, right? Than many tasks. I'm scratching my brain, trying to remember the name of the book we're reading. I'm going to check after I'm done recording. I'm just going to do like a clip to say the name of the book. Yeah, but it talks about just starting small, right? Going small and just toning down. It actually speaks to not even 3, but just 1, right? So the few in this case would be, what's the one thing? So we're going to be thinking about that in the questions that I'm going to ask you today, right? So the last key lesson, consistency grows when your week is intentionally structured. Consistency grows when your week is intentionally structured. And I can attest to this personally. I've seen this through my TikTok journey in terms of building consistency. I've decided I have a whole plan for the whole year in terms of the kind of content I'll be creating. And we're going to be replicating the system for quarter 2, the second quarter of the year, and, right? So I'd want to challenge you to answer these questions as brutally as you can. We're at 12 minutes, and the hope is to keep this at 15 minutes, right? The first question, and we're going to use one example to answer these questions, or just for me to give live examples. So the first question is, what outcome would make this week successful? What outcome would make this week successful? So in thinking about it, the task would be working on my business personally as I'm preparing for an event that we're hosting in April. Please do check it out. If you've made it this far, I want to challenge you to reach out to me, book your ticket for our personal change strategy workshop, where I can assure you that you're going to come out with a bit of clarity, alignment, learning in terms of understanding your emotions, and a plan to build mastery, right? Mini ad break. But in thinking about the task, working on your business, the one outcome would be having a proposal ready by the end of the week, right? And I personally also have, I'll say that is an example for this week, to have a proposal ready at the end of the week, right? What actions actually move you forward to get to that outcome? So I'd want for you to think about 2 to 3 things that you need to do, right? Two to three things that you need to do. So this is a starting point before you actually get to the scheduling. You know the outcome, you know the task, what is it tied to, and then figuring out what needs to happen, right? And then the third thing is, what distractions do I need to limit? What distractions do I need to limit? And I want you to be brutally honest with yourself when you answer this question, because you know yourself, you live with yourself 24/7, under surveillance, your mind knows. So the key word here being, which do I need to limit? You're not cutting off completely. You can watch your TikTok, but not for 2 hours, just for 20 minutes, so that you can actually work on that proposal. So then finally, what does my schedule look like for the week, right? And if you were to take just this one task for the week to then schedule it into your plan for the week, you can then say, on Tuesday, that's today, I'm going to start the draft or drafting the proposal. You can actually work out the skeleton, what you want to include into the proposal, and then decide then to say, on Thursday, I'm going to review and finalize the proposal, so that on Friday you can send it out, or you can send it to someone to proofread for you before you send it out next week, right? And then you decide, if we're to take a proposal, for example, who this proposal is going to be sent to. That's one thing I need to do in the coming week, for example. But we've come to the end of today's video, and I realized for the past 2 videos, and as much as I'd found the way I'd want my coaching videos to be structured in terms of asking you questions, they were too loaded in terms of the questions I was asking. So I've toned it down to only 4 questions for you to answer as honestly as you can. And I believe that once you've answered these questions, you will be able to actually see progress, see progress in how you're showing up. Otherwise, I want to take this time to thank you for watching this video. If you've made it to the end, thank you so much for watching to the very end. It helps those Gertie with her watch time hours for her YouTube journey. But otherwise, it helps you because you get to a place where you've built a bit of information and data about yourself and your journey. Otherwise, we will be wrapping up our program in the coming week, and the hope is that we will be here on Monday wrapping up our program for the coming week, where we are going to be talking about follow through, and the bigger thought being that by the end of the year, you and I are going to be follow through kings and queens. What we say we're going to do until we finish, right? And we're going to do it well. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching this video to the very end. I pray that may God's favor locate you, and may His grace sustain you as you live out the rest of the week. See you next week. It's always so nice to make it here. So I'm going to check the name of the book, and then that'll be the last clip. So awkward. The name of the book is called The One Thing. That's it. The One Thing. So you can actually search it on YouTube, The One Thing audiobook, and you can listen to it. I'm not sure if I actually added it to my playlist, but I'll do that. But otherwise, be blessed. See you next Monday.